Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. Welcome back to Dark Poutine. I am Mike Brown in Langley, British Columbia, and in Vancouver, I see my friend
Matthew.
How are you today, Matthew?
Still gay.
Still gay? So that hasn't changed. No one's prayed the gay away for you. I keep praying that you'll turn straight, Matthew, but it doesn't happen.
You do not.
No, I don't. I was talking to another friend yesterday, and I just was like, I have so many gay friends.
I have so many straight friends.
Isn't that weird?
Actually, most of my friends are straight. It's really funny. Most of your friends are gay. Most of my friends are straight. It's hilarious.
It doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Here we are.
Or maybe it does.
Here we are.
Here we are.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate, Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadian schmucks chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
You are responsible for obtaining and maintaining at your own cost all equipment needed to listen to Dark Poutine. Dark Poutine can be addictive. Side effects may include, but not be limited to, pausing and questioning the system, elevated heart rate, pondering humanity, odd looks from colleagues as you laugh out loud at work, family members not into true crime worrying about you. Positive side effects may include some perspectives and opinions that you disagree with, as well as some wokeness and empathy. If you don't think Dark Poutine is for you, consult your doctor immediately.
In December of 2015, the quiet city of Moncton, New Brunswick was shaken to its core by a brutal crime that would leave an indelible mark on the community. 18-year-old Baylee Wylie was found dead in a burned-out townhouse, the victim of a horrific murder that shocked residents and sparked a manhunt for those responsible. 3 young individuals, who Baylee thought were his friends, were ultimately charged for their roles in his death. Marissa Shephard, 20 at the time, along with Devin Morningstar and Tyler Noel, both 18. The gruesome nature of the crime, Baylee had been tied to a chair, beaten and stabbed approximately 200 times, sent shockwaves throughout Moncton. The murder and subsequent trials captivated the region with media coverage detailing the drug-fueled night that ended in tragedy. The community grappled with the senseless loss of a young life and the disturbing actions of the perpetrators. In this episode, we'll explore the events leading up to that fateful night, the impact on Baylee's family and the wider Moncton community, as well as the following quest for justice. Join us as we examine one of the most notorious crimes in recent New Brunswick history. This is Dark Poutine episode 345, Particularly Cruel, the Murder of Baylee Wylie. Moncton is located in southeastern New Brunswick, and it traces its origins back to the early 18th century. Initially inhabited by the Mi'kmaq First Nation, French Acadians later settled the area in 1698. These settlers established a community known as La Coude, or the Elbow, due to its location at a bend in the Petitcodiac River. However, in 1755, during the British military campaigns led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Moncton, the Acadians were expelled from the region, and the town was renamed for the colonel. The area saw a new wave of settlement in 1766 when German immigrants from Pennsylvania arrived, diversifying the population. The shipbuilding industry fueled Moncton's early economic growth in the mid-19th century. The establishment of a major shipyard by Joseph Salter in 1849 marked a significant turning point for the community. This prosperity led to Moncton's incorporation as a town in 1855, though a clerical error resulted in the misspelling of its name, dropping the K from Moncton. With the advent of steam-powered vessels, the shipbuilding industry declined, causing economic hardship and leading to Moncton's temporary loss of town status in 1862. The city's fortunes revived with the arrival of the railway. In 1871, Moncton became the headquarters for the Intercolonial Railway of Canada, ICR, leading to its reincorporation as a town in 1875 with the motto Resurgo, Latin for I rise again. This period marked Moncton's transformation into a vital railway hub and contributed to its growth and eventual city status in 1890. Throughout the 20th century, Moncton continued to evolve. The creation of Canadian National Railway, CNR, in 1918 established Moncton as a key locomotive repair center for the Maritimes. Despite economic challenges during the 1970s and 80s, including major employer closures, Moncton experienced a resurgence in the mid-1990s due to economic diversification and a robust bilingual workforce. This prosperity was dubbed the Moncton Miracle. Today, Moncton is recognized as a major regional center for transportation and telecommunications in Atlantic Canada. It is home to significant cultural institutions like Université de Moncton and features unique attractions such as Magnetic Hill and the tidal bore on the Petitcodiac River. The city's history of resilience and adaptation continues to shape its vibrant community and economy. As of the 2021 census, Moncton had a population of 79,470 people, making it the most populous city in New Brunswick. The city is part of a larger metropolitan area known as the Greater Moncton Census Metropolitan Area, CMA, which includes nearby cities and towns such as Dieppe and Riverview. In 2022, the CMA's population was estimated at 171,608, reflecting a significant growth rate of 5.3% from the previous year, making it the fastest-growing CMA in Canada during that period.
Yeah, so it's a city, but not a very large one. It probably, I've never been, but I'd assume a city that size kind of has more of a big town feel to it.
Moncton's pretty small compared to Vancouver or Toronto.
But even Vancouver, to me, just feels like a big town. After Moscow, London, Paris, it's like it feels like a small place to me.
While Moncton is generally considered a safe city, it has not been immune to crime and tragedy. One of the most shocking incidents in recent history occurred on June 4th, 2014, when the city was rocked by a series of shootings that left 3 RCMP officers dead and 2 others wounded. This tragic event, known as the Moncton Mountie murders, unfolded over just 20 minutes and led to a tense 29-hour manhunt for the gunman. We covered this incident in episode 12. We also explored Moncton's criminal history in other episodes of Dark Poutine. In episode 125, we recounted the story of 2 Moncton police officers, Constable Michael O'Leary and Corporal Aurélie Bourgeois, murdered while investigating the kidnapping of a restaurateur's 14-year-old son, Raymond Steen, in 1974. While these incidents are not representative of Moncton's overall character, they serve as reminders of the challenges faced by law enforcement and the community's resilience in the face of tragedy. This case, however, Baylee's story, is far and away one of the most horrific crimes ever perpetrated in the region. Baylee Wylie was born on April 6, 1997 at Moncton Hospital. He attended Riverview Middle School and later Riverview Secondary School. Known for his warm-hearted nature, Baylee was characterized by his kindness, generosity, and caring demeanor. In reflecting on Baylee's early life, his mother Amanda shared with the True North True Crime podcast that she met her ex-husband when Baylee was just over a year old. They lived in Moncton due to her father's military service before moving to Gagetown when her ex-husband joined the service himself. After separating when Baylee was around 8, Amanda returned to Moncton. She described Baylee as a social child who thrived on interactions with people, always eager to be around others. His childhood was filled with joy, especially when he received $5 from his grandfather to spend at the dollar store, a treat that brought him immense happiness. Baylee was passionate about shopping, movies, and music and played soccer until he was about 14 years old, although soccer was his only sport of interest. His engaging smile could light up any room, and his sense of humor and approachable personality made him a beloved figure among family and friends. He maintained strong connections with others through social media, frequently sharing photos and updates while his phone was close at hand. It was a common sight to see him leave his mom and stepdad or grandparents with a heartfelt, "I love you." Baylee's academic journey included attending Riverview Secondary School and an alternate education program for students who may not flourish in traditional settings. His experience in school was challenging. He preferred interactive learning environments and struggled with the structure of conventional schooling, particularly from grade 9 onward. Like many of his generation, Baylee's adolescence was heavily influenced by the internet and social media, which he embraced enthusiastically. He began working at 14, delivering newspapers and flyers while harboring dreams of fame and aspirations to move to Toronto. Everybody in the East Coast wants to move west.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's a growing trend of kids struggling in traditional school settings.
Yeah.
And I think screen time probably plays a big role in that.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to retrain myself to read a little bit more often because my attention span, I noticed, just got shorter when I overused my screens.
Yeah.
And I think kids, when their minds are developing, it's structured offline environments are tough for them, and I don't know. I'm not that concerned about it because I don't really care that much because I don't have kids. But it's sort of what's that going to mean for the next wave of people coming out of school?
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine having had a screen to look at when I was at school because, I mean, I've done some testing as an adult and realized, well, I have a bit of a learning disability, which is inattentive ADHD. So, I can't imagine what it would have been like had I had something else to distract me because I was already distracted by the thoughts in my head.
I was going to say I weep for the future, but no.
But they're trying to remove cell phones from a lot of the schools right now. I know in Nova Scotia and BC, you can't have one in class.
It's not just school, though, right?
Yeah.
If kids aren't sitting down and having long-term interactions with the book or with play or with it's all sort of Candy Crushy, beep, 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 instant hit, right?
Speaking of Candy Crush, my birth mom is level 15,000 or some crazy thing.
I've never played it. I saw an ad for it on the telly last night.
Baylee's transition into his new friend group was partly facilitated by his close relationships with his cousins, Taylor and Courtney. Baylee was bisexual. As a member of the LGBTQ2S+ community, Baylee experienced both acceptance and challenges. His family, particularly supportive of his sexual identity, provided a loving environment where he could be authentically himself. However, like many young queer folks, he also encountered social complexities, including occasional bullying. Baylee's teenage and young adult years were marked by exploration and struggle.
Yeah, for many young gay kids, this fear of rejection often leads to isolation, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Yeah, I've seen many times, Mike. I've known people that kind of went through the aftermath of bullying and harassment from being gay kids.
Yeah.
That struggled in their own youth and got into a little bit of trouble, or some more, some less. But a lot of them, the ones I know, came out the other end, sort of grew up eventually, and realized and found acceptance. And it's just sad that Baylee never got the chance to move beyond this. He was still a teenager, and he's gone.
Yeah. Baylee faced difficulties as he began experimenting with drugs. Initially starting with marijuana, he soon progressed to harder substances. His mother, Amanda, noted that this shift in behavior was not immediately apparent. Baylee sought freedom and independence, but became involved with a new group of friends after moving back to Moncton. This new circle introduced him to a lifestyle that ramped up his recreational drug use. By October 2015, Baylee was 18 and living with his girlfriend Marissa Shephard in a rented provincially subsidized townhouse at 96 Sumac Street. It was the middle unit of a triplex of townhouses. The townhouse had 2 floors above ground and a basement. The bedrooms were on the top floor, and the kitchen and living room were on the ground floor. It was a bit of a flop house, and people moved in and out in the time that Marissa was there. Marissa's home functioned as a hub for drug use and other unsavory activities. It was there that Baylee became involved with sex work. Despite concerns from his mother and other friends who supported him as much as possible, Baylee was strong-willed and made his own decisions. He was introduced to this way of life by his girlfriend Marissa and his cousin Taylor, who were already making money by way of sex work. He liked the easy money and used the cash for personal expenses and buying drugs. According to various reports, Marissa Shephard led a troubled life, having been involved in criminal activities from a young age. She had a child with someone also involved in crime. Baylee was willing to help Marissa raise her son Cole, which strengthened their relationship despite Marissa's negative influence.
Her son was not in the house when all of this was happening, was he?
While people were doing drugs and that kind of stuff, yes. But not at the time of the murder.
Okay. Yeah, you shouldn't do crack around your kid. If Matthew has many rules in life, that's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't smoke around a kid either, but at the same time, when you're in that mode of operation, you justify it. Well, oh no, the kid was in another room. You know what I mean? Like,
boo.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler Noel, known to be a drug trafficker around Baylee's age, often hung around Marissa's townhouse. He was also born and raised in Moncton. Noel, too, experienced a problematic childhood characterized by instability and abuse. His father was incarcerated for 16 years, leaving Noel to be raised by his mother, with whom he suffered abuse. This tumultuous upbringing resulted in his removal from his mother's care and placement in social development housing during his early teenage years. Despite these hardships, Noel's life was further complicated by substance abuse issues. He became entangled in a lifestyle dominated by drug use, which connected him with a group of individuals similarly engaged in illicit activities. Noel's criminal history began early, with numerous convictions as a young offender. These offenses were mainly minor, but indicated a pattern of behavior that would escalate over time. In the period leading up to the murder, Noel's life was heavily influenced by drug use and the chaotic environment it fostered. There were other hangers-on around as well. One of the more recent additions in December of 2015 was Devin Morningstar. He'd just broken up with his longtime girlfriend and needed a place to stay. As he was dealing drugs at the time, he was more than welcome to crash at Marissa's place. Devin Morningstar's life before the murder of Baylee Wylie is marked by a troubled upbringing and series of challenges that may have influenced his later actions. Born and raised in Moncton, Morningstar experienced a difficult childhood. His family life was unstable, with his parents divorcing when he was young. As a teenager, Devin struggled with various issues, including substance abuse. His involvement with drugs also connected him to a network of individuals who were doing the same things. Despite these challenges, Devin attempted to pursue education by enrolling in GED courses, suggesting a desire to improve his circumstances. However, the influence of his social circle and the allure of quick financial gains through drug-related activities overshadowed these efforts. The last few days before Baylee Wylie's death were filled with heavy drug use, mostly crack, and sex between the four friends. Tensions arose over who had been intimate with Marissa Shephard, according to the remaining witnesses, leading to arguments and jealousy among the group. Devin Morningstar reportedly had sexual relations with Marissa upon his arrival at the townhouse when she invited him to shower with her. Baylee, jealous of Marissa's attention to the other men, also claimed to have had sex with both Devin and Tyler, which they both denied angrily. The night that Devin arrived, Baylee allegedly recorded video and photographs of himself performing oral sex on a highly intoxicated Tyler Noel.
This is all such a chaotic mess.
Yeah.
Like, just the crap that's going on in this place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me so, like, these kids are the same at this age, or is the same age as my nephew right now, right?
Yeah, and he's a good kid.
Oh my God, he's like the best. It just makes me so happy that my nephew is responsible, does well in school. He's in a band, he plays drums, right? He has a job.
Yeah.
And it's a total difference, right? And you know, he grew up loved, not abused, right? Yeah. His mom and dad were divorced, but still very loving, you know, family, right?
Yeah.
And he always knew what he could be, whatever he wanted to be, and we'd always accept. And I like to think that his gunkles had some positive influence on him as well.
Well, he seems to love you. When I met him, he was, you know, really happy to be around you. So
yeah, he's a good kid, and he believes in Bigfoot, so you like him.
I do, yeah, just automatically. I like anybody who believes in Bigfoot. I don't know whether or not I believe in Bigfoot, but if somebody else believes in it, then I like them.
My brother and nephew are obsessed with Bigfoot.
I like to think about Bigfoot. I don't know if I believe in it.
But you like to think about him?
Sure.
Do you have a crush on Bigfoot?
No, but I did read some Bigfoot porn for another podcast. Oh, well. On December 16, 2015, Baylee Wylie showed Marissa explicit photos and videos on his BlackBerry depicting himself and Tyler Noel engaged in sexual acts. Concerned about the potential for violence if Tyler discovered these images, Marissa deleted them. Later, tensions escalated when Baylee Wylie taunted Devin and Tyler with past sexual encounters, including the one he'd recorded the night before. This provocation infuriated both men, leading to a violent outburst in Marissa's bedroom, where they first attacked Baylee Wylie primarily with their fists. The assault was relentless and only paused when Baylee sustained a forehead injury from a bong that Marissa threw in frustration at the attacker's refusal to heed her protests. Throughout the evening, Marissa left the residence twice for work-related reasons, leaving Baylee with Tyler and Devin each time. After her first departure and return, the atmosphere seemed calm, but upon returning from her second outing, she was met with a drastically different scene. She found Baylee Wylie tied to a chair in the basement, and he was gravely injured. Overwhelmed by panic, Marissa retreated to her bedroom during the final stages of the brutal assault on Baylee Wylie. Evidence later revealed that Baylee was subjected to extreme violence in multiple locations within the house: Marissa Shephard's bedroom, the ground floor, and the basement. He endured punches, choking, kicks, and strikes from various objects, including a curtain rod and the bong. The attack culminated in over 100 stab wounds inflicted with knives and a piece of glass from a broken mirror. The violent murder unfolded in 2 harrowing stages, as revealed by the statements of Devin Morningstar after his arrest. In the initial stage, Devin recounted how he assaulted Baylee Wylie with a curtain rod that had a metal ball at the end and stabbed him 3 times. He claimed the stabbing was done under duress, as he'd been prompted by the other 2. Baylee was further restrained with his face wrapped in saran wrap and his limbs were tied behind his back. Devin Morningstar claimed that he held Baylee down while it was Tyler Noel who had wrapped Bailey's face in plastic wrap. In the second stage of the brutal attack, Devin Morningstar, along with Tyler Noel and Marissa Shephard, left Baylee Wylie in the basement and moved upstairs. Despite his severe injuries, Baylee managed to drag himself into the living room and tried to escape. Devin described how Tyler Noel threw Baylee onto the floor and stabbed him repeatedly there. By this point, Baylee Wylie was too incapacitated to escape or defend himself and ultimately succumbed to his injuries in the living room shortly before 4 a.m. on December 17, 2015.
This is so horrifyingly brutal, Mike. You and I do not often see such brutality sustained like this. We see quick brutality, right? And brutality, and it all and same thing. But this is just absolutely disgusting what they were doing to him.
To conceal their crime, the perpetrator set fire to Marissa Shephard's unit and covered Baylee Wylie's body with a box spring before fleeing the scene. They were picked up at around 4 a.m. by a friend, Claude LeBlanc, and taken to Devin Morningstar's house. Once there, Tyler Noel became anxious after seeing Devin Morningstar whispering to another friend, Baylee Fillmore. Fearing that details of the night's events might be shared, Tyler told Marissa Shephard he wanted to kill Devin and Fillmore to prevent any information from spreading, especially to the police. Marissa later claimed that she argued against this plan of additional killing, saying, "No, we're not killing anybody else, Tyler." End quote. More after a quick break. And we are back. Matthew, thoughts so far?
Yeah. I think Baylee's openness about his bisexuality, combined with his claims, which I think were true, of intimacy with both Devin and Tyler, triggered their fear and humiliation. Mm-hmm. I think, this environment is sort of hyper-masculine, drug-fueled. I think Tyler and Devin were grappling with their own insecurities about their same-sex interactions with Baylee. Mm-hmm. And reacted violently to protect their fragile sense of masculinity. And I think the extreme brutality that I was pointing out and efforts to cover up the crime come from a place of deep shame and panic, more than anything else. So, I think this crime was rooted in both internalized and externalized homophobia. And I think it was fear of exposure drove the violence. And, it was silencing of Baylee because they had fooled around with him.
Yeah, I 100% think that was the motive.
Yep.
Moncton firefighters were called to a blaze at 96 Sumac in the early morning of December 17, 2015. Upon extinguishing the fire, they found Baylee Wylie's body beneath the mattress and the burned-out remains of the unit. The fire had not hidden the crime as the trio had hoped. Baylee's body showed signs of a violent attack, with more than 140 sharp force injuries inflicted before his death. Police began looking for the former residents of the townhouse, and suspicion quickly fell on Marissa Shephard, Tyler Noel, and Devin Morningstar. All three of them were on the run. Devin Morningstar was the first one apprehended. On December 20th, 2015, Devin Morningstar was arrested at the Kodiak RCMP detachment in Moncton. He was charged with first-degree murder and arson following Baylee Wylie's murder. The events leading to this arrest are detailed through various police interviews and court testimonies. During his interrogation, Devin described a chaotic scene fueled by drugs and jealousy. The relationships among the group of four friends were complex. Devin claimed he was romantically involved with Marissa Shephard, who was also involved with Baylee Wylie and Tyler Noel. The night of the murder was marked by drug use and escalating tensions. Devin admitted that they smoked crack cocaine and took other drugs, which contributed to the paranoia and violence that ensued. He described how an argument over Marissa Shephard's affections led to the brutal attack on Baylee Wylie. The violence escalated when Tyler Noel insisted that, quote, "This kid can't leave this house," which, according to Devin Morningstar, prompted both Tyler Noel and Marissa Shephard to begin stabbing Baylee Wylie.
And why can't he leave the house? Because he had sex with them and he might tell somebody. They didn't want to be exposed.
Yeah.
There's no other reason why, quote, "this kid can't leave this house."
I mean, we're hearing this from Devin Morningstar, who is also, did what he did in this, and the evidence points to other kind of things, and also the evidence of stabbing actually points away from Marissa Shephard. So, yeah.
Of course. Right? This guy's covering up the real motive and covering up his role in it.
As we mentioned, Devin confessed to stabbing Baylee Wylie 3 times, claiming he did so under duress, fearing for his own life if he did not comply. He detailed how the group attempted to cover their tracks by dousing Baylee's body in bleach to remove fingerprints before setting fires in the triplex. Despite his claims of being framed by Marissa Shephard and Tyler Noel, Devin Morningstar's involvement was evident from his own admissions during police interviews. Throughout his statements, Devin expressed regret and fear for his future. He repeatedly mentioned feeling manipulated by Marissa and Tyler, who he accused of orchestrating the attack on Baylee Wylie. In a poignant moment during his interrogation, Devin sobbed as he recalled telling Wylie to shut up instead of listening to his pleas for mercy, highlighting the psychological turmoil he experienced. Devin Morningstar's narrative paints a picture of a young man caught in a web of toxic relationships and drug-fueled violence. His statements during police interviews provide a haunting insight into the events leading up to Baylee Wylie's tragic death. The evidence suggested he'd been much more involved than he was admitting.
Of course he was. He's dancing around the truth here. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do, in my humble opinion, it has nothing to do with who is having sex with Marissa. Mm. It's the fact that these 2 guys could have been exposed for having sex with a guy, so they murdered him to keep it quiet.
The court proceedings against Devin Morningstar for the murder of Baylee Wylie were replete with intense emotions, especially of Baylee Wylie's family and friends, and complex legal arguments in Devin's defense. On November 11, 2016, a jury found Devin Morningstar guilty of first-degree murder and arson in the death of 18-year-old Baylee Wylie. The verdict came after a 3-week trial during which the jury deliberated for approximately 21 hours over 3 days. Devin Morningstar was then 19 years old when he was convicted of participating in Baylee Wylie's brutal murder. Throughout the trial, the prosecution and defense presented starkly different narratives. The Crown Prosecutor, Stephen Holt, argued that Devin Morningstar actively participated in Baylee Wylie's forcible confinement and stabbing, holding him down while inflicting wounds. In contrast, Devin Morningstar's defense attorney, Bob Rideout, contended that Devin was merely a fall guy in a larger scheme orchestrated by his co-accused, Marissa Shephard and Tyler Noel. Despite these claims, evidence such as Devin Morningstar's own police interviews, where he admitted to stabbing Wylie 3 times, played a crucial role in securing the conviction. The courtroom was filled with emotion as the verdict was read. Members of both the Wylie and Morningstar families were visibly affected. Wylie's family expressed relief at the verdict by releasing 18 blue balloons in his memory. Meanwhile, Devin Morningstar's mother expressed her belief that her son should have been convicted of manslaughter instead, citing his lack of intent to commit murder.
Oh, a mother's naivety in these situations when their son is a killer. We've seen it so many times.
We have. I saw it in my own life. I mean, when I was attacked by a person and we had to go to court, the mother, that person's mother, didn't believe that he had done what I was accusing him of doing, although my broken teeth and nose indicated otherwise.
Yep. I think my mom is the type of person who would be like, no, he did it, but she'd still love me. But she'd like turn me in.
Maybe it's the parenting that really plays a part in this, and maybe that flag of parents who will protect a child at all costs, even at the cost of the truth, is what creates people like this, or helps to create them.
Maybe.
Following the verdict, Devin Morningstar was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years on January 11, 2017. Before his sentencing, Devin Morningstar addressed the court to express remorse for his actions. During this time, victim impact statements were read, highlighting the profound effect Baylee Wylie's murder had on his family. Angela Wylie, Baylee's aunt, shared how she had struggled with anxiety and depression since her nephew's death. In the aftermath of the trial, Devin Morningstar's family announced plans to appeal the verdict, arguing that not all facts had been revealed during the trial. Meanwhile, co-accused Marissa Shephard and Tyler Noel faced their own legal proceedings related to Baylee Wylie's murder. Tyler Noel had managed to evade capture for several weeks, during which time he was believed to have been hiding at a remote camp in Elgin, a small community not far from Moncton. The search for Tyler Noel was complicated by the rugged terrain and harsh winter conditions, which provided ample cover for someone on the run. Tyler's arrest came after police received a tip-off about his whereabouts. He was apprehended without incident at Petitcodiac, New Brunswick, a small village known for its close-knit community and rural surroundings. The arrest brought some relief to the community and to Baylee Wylie's family, who had been grappling with the shock and horror of his murder. The legal proceedings against Tyler Noel were complex and involved multiple charges and court appearances. Initially, Tyler Noel was charged with first-degree murder and arson. On May 2, 2017, Tyler Noel pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and arson. By pleading guilty to second-degree murder, Tyler Noel accepted an automatic life sentence with no possibility of parole for at least 10 years. However, the exact term for parole eligibility was left to be determined by the judge during a sentencing hearing scheduled for July. During the court proceedings, a statement of facts was presented detailing the events leading up to Baylee Wylie's death. It was revealed that an argument over drugs and personal relationships escalated into violence. Tyler Noel admitted his role in attacking Baylee, alongside co-accused Devin Morningstar and Marissa Shephard. The courtroom was filled with emotional responses from Baylee's family as the details were read aloud. On July 13, 2017, Justice Stephen McNally sentenced Tyler Noel to life in prison with no chance of parole for 16 years. This sentence also included a concurrent 3-year sentence for arson with disregard for human life. The judge considered Tyler Noel's extensive criminal history, which included 34 prior convictions, mainly as a young offender. The sentencing provided some closure to Baylee Wylie's family, although they needed time to process the outcome.
I wonder, as he gets older and realizes that he's actually gay, if he will have any real remorse for this.
I wonder that too. Marissa Shephard proved to be a little more slippery than her two co-accused. After the murder, she went into hiding and was on the run for 2 months. Marissa's whereabouts were largely unknown to the authorities during this time, although there had been alleged sightings. She was known to be using a fake name. The police issued a Canada-wide warrant for her arrest, and she was considered armed and dangerous. Her ability to remain at large suggested that she had some support or means to stay hidden, although details about how she managed this are not extensively documented in public records. Police apprehended Marissa in March 2016 at a Comfort Inn in Moncton. The legal saga surrounding Marissa Shephard and the brutal murder of Baylee Wylie unfolded over several years, captivating public attention and highlighting the intricacies of the Canadian justice system. The initial trial in 2018 painted a grim picture of the events leading to Baylee's death. Prosecutors described a night of drug-fueled violence that culminated in the young man's torture and murder. After a grueling trial, the jury swiftly reached a verdict, finding Marissa Shephard guilty of first-degree murder and arson with disregard for human life. Justice Zol Dion sentenced her to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years, stating, Quote, "The actions of Ms. Shephard and her co-accused were nothing short of brutal. This court cannot fathom the terror and pain Mr. Wylie must have endured in his final hours." End quote. However, the conviction was short-lived. Marissa Shephard's defense team, led by Gilles Lemieux, successfully appealed the verdict, arguing that several legal errors had tainted the trial. In a surprising turn of events, the New Brunswick Court of Appeal agreed, overturning the conviction and ordering a new trial. The appeal court's decision highlighted concerns about the trial judge's conduct and the prosecution's evidence handling. Justice Marc Richard, writing for the Court of Appeal, noted, quote, "The cumulative effect of these errors has resulted in a miscarriage of justice that cannot be overlooked." End quote. As preparations for a new trial were underway, another unexpected development occurred. In June 2021, Marissa Shephard changed her plea, admitting guilt to the lesser charges of manslaughter and arson. This plea agreement sparked mixed reactions from the community and Baylee Wylie's family. At the sentencing hearing, Baylee's Aunt Angela delivered a heart-wrenching victim impact statement. Quote, "Baylee was more than just a victim in a headline," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "He was a son, a brother, a nephew, and a friend. His loss left a void in our lives that can never be filled." End quote. Justice Jean-Paul Ouellette, presiding over the sentencing, carefully weighed the joint recommendation from the Crown and defense. He ultimately imposed a 12-year sentence for manslaughter and a concurrent 3-year term for arson. In his remarks, Justice Ouellette acknowledged the gravity of the crime, also considering Marissa Shephard's potential for rehabilitation. "While nothing can undo the tragedy that has occurred," he stated, "the court must balance the principles of denunciation and deterrence with the possibility of Miss Shephard's eventual reintegration into society." End quote. Crown prosecutor Annie St. Jacques, who had pursued the case from its inception, expressed a measured response to the outcome. Quote, "While we initially sought a more severe sentence, we believe this agreement serves the interests of justice and spares the Wylie family the ordeal of another trial." Defense lawyer Gilles Lemieux echoed this sentiment, adding, quote, "Ms. Shephard has expressed genuine remorse for her actions and is committed to making amends for her role in this tragic event." End quote. As Marissa Shephard was led away to begin serving her sentence, the courtroom atmosphere was heavy with unresolved emotions. Baylee Wylie's mother, Amanda, spoke briefly to reporters, her words capturing the complex feelings of many involved. Quote, "No sentence can bring Baylee back or heal our pain. We can only hope that someday, somehow, we'll find a way to move forward while keeping his memory alive." End quote.
You know, I'm looking at the photograph of Baylee that you're probably going to be showing on the website, and it's probably before he started really getting into trouble, right? He's a young kid. He's cute, has a nice smile. You know, I just find myself sitting here wishing he'd just found like a nice, stable boyfriend instead of this piece of work woman that he ended up with, and sort of just went a different path, because I think he was just lost, and he was lost in drugs a little bit. And, you know, I'm looking at him, and I hope, you know, I bet he would have come out of that. He would have eventually come out of that, right?
Sure. Maybe they all would have, really. Maybe.
Well, I'm not giving them anything. I'm giving this to him. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're murderers. But, you know, it's just sad. It makes me sad that he couldn't have had sort of the rebellious time and come out the other end. And even though he was in the rebellious time and doing drugs and doing the things he did, he's the victim, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would cast aspersions to him, but he's an 18-year-old kid trying to just going through what a lot of people go through, and he 100% didn't deserve this. And I just look at his face, and I think it just makes me sad he didn't have the opportunity to come out of this, you know?
Yeah. Do you mind that we cover episodes like this where I leverage your relationship to the subject matter? Do you mind that?
No, not at all.
And that's it for Dark Poutine episode 345, Particularly Cruel, The Murder of Baylee Wylie.
That's right. It's time for voicemails. You can leave us a message at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see who called us this week.
All right, so we've got 3 voicemails this week, and one person left 2, but they're short, so we'll play both of them. So here we go. Here's the first one.
Hey, Mike, Matthew, and Steve. It's Chris, second-time caller. First time I called was asking why schmucks was taken out of your intro, and you guys addressed that, and I appreciate that. I live in small town, landlocked BC, retired now, and just listening to your last episode, I was curious to know if you guys have a map of Canada and have pins in all the locations that you guys have picked your cases from. And if you don't, it might be a good idea. Anyway, have a great day. Go puke in your toque. Bye.
Go puke in your toque. I actually do not have a map yet. I've been thinking about doing a virtual map of things, of places. So if I could figure out how to do it, like you would click on the map of a province and it would embiggen, enlarge, and then you could see the different places that we've talked about in a province, and you could click on episode numbers. That might be fun.
That would be great.
That would be great, but it takes work, and and I'm not sure I have the bandwidth to do that right now. But yeah, I do want to have that at some point. It would take a bit of doing, but I should have started it right at the beginning. Oh, well, whatever. Here's the first part of our 2-part voicemails.
Hi, Mike and Matthew. I have 3 things I wanted to say to you. First thing is, Matthew, I also chew nicotine gum and I feel like a cow on many occasions. That's 1. 2 is the tits and teeth. My mother was in the hospital a very long time, and she is now home in a wheelchair, and her posture really suffered while she was in the hospital. So I have taken to saying that to her when her posture is slumpy or when we're taking a picture. I'll, tits and teeth, ladies, tits and teeth. And she gets a hoot out of that. The third thing, I don't remember. I'll have to call again when I remember. Take a shit in your hat.
I love that she says tits and teeth to her mom. That's fantastic.
It is funny.
Well,
here's the third thing, because she called back.
Hello again, Mike and Matthew. I remembered the third thing. Mike, every time you have an episode that involves Native American place names and names, I'm always so impressed with how you pronounce them. I don't know if they're correct, but they sound very impressive. Good job. See you guys.
Sometimes I don't pronounce them correctly, and people correct me on it. But I'm trying. I really am trying. That's part of my truth and reconciliation commitment, is to try to pronounce indigenous names correctly.
Okay.
I'm trying. And also a part of that is telling more indigenous stories. So we have one coming up, just so as you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing some work, and it's going to be a multi-part. 2 parts.
2 parts.
Yep, starting next week.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, because people will go look it up and spoil the episode for themselves. But anyway, it's really fascinating. Really a fascinating case. And just on so many levels. So there you go. That's it for voicemails. That's it for this week's voicemails. Again, you can leave us one at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you, even if it is just to say hi and to tell us to go shit in our hats. If you're stumped for what to chat with us about, a quick story is welcome. Alrighty, it's time for some patrons and donut money donors. So first we'll tackle Patreon. First up we have Kate Witter. Kate Witter, and I don't know where Kate is from, Matthew.
Do you know in the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner?
Oh, yes, I absolutely do, yeah.
Is that Arizona?
I believe it is Arizona, Utah, somewhere in the western United States. Yeah,
that's where she
sure.
lives.
Oh, okay, so she lives in that area.
Yeah,
Does she work for Acme?
She does. You beat me to the punch, Mike.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, she works for Acme.
So Acme was the place where Wile E. Coyote got all his tools, including his dynamite from, and blow himself up constantly.
The Acme Bomb Company.
So what does Kate do there at Acme?
She makes sure that the length of the fuse is the right length.
So it's her fault that he's blown himself up numerous times. Well, there you go. Thanks, Kate, for
blowing up Wile E.
Yeah, keeping us entertained and the Roadrunner alive. So, anyway. Next, we have Jenny Smith. And Jenny is from just south of us a little bit. Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington.
That's not far south at all.
No, I love Seattle. Seattle's one of my favorite cities.
It's a good place.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think Jenny Smith does there in Seattle, Washington, Matthew?
I think she gives away money at the Belinda and Melinda Gates Foundation.
The Gates Foundation, yeah.
Sorry, Belinda and Melinda.
Belinda and Melinda. Oh, so Melinda, the drag queen, works there? Melinda Vera?
Yeah, and Belinda.
My buddy Melinda.
I went to say Bill and Melinda. Is it Bill and Melinda? And I said Belinda.
Belinda. Well, I guess.
Is that like Brangelina? Belinda?
I guess so. I thought she would be one of the people throwing the fish at Pike Place Market. Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
So Google it. You'll see lots of videos. So essentially there's guys working in that market and they throw fish across the market to each other and catch them.
Oh, I thought it was some people
like dwarf throwing or something?
No, I thought it was like people protesting and throwing fish at the Starbucks there or something.
Well, Seattle is known for its protests. So, anywho, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, my goodness, Matthew. Well, I mean, Jenny could be, she could give us some money. That would be nice. I would like some money. Do you want some money, Matthew?
Out of the Gates Foundation?
The Gates Foundation. I mean, we could do something good, I'm sure.
Yeah, we could 100% do something good.
Other than paying ourselves.
Right.
Right. Right, he says. Right. Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, look at that. So I've moved on to Donut Money donors, and our friend Steve Heaton from the UK is back. And Steve says, "Hi again from your English buddy. Wanted to ask if you'd heard of the case of Gareth Williams, an MI6 agent who was found August 2010 in London, naked, stripped holdall, naked in a zipped holdall, padlocks in empty bath in locked room. Might be of some interest. Anyway, all the best. Hope you well." Interesting.
My husband and I were talking about that just the other day.
Oh, cool.
And we are pretty sure that it was spy games, and we think he was probably a double agent or something.
Okay.
And because all these shenanigans went around sort of like who he was, and I think it was so obvious that the media was being fed bullcrap.
Yeah.
And I think MI5 or MI6 just couldn't say who he really was.
So, yeah, he was... I'm just looking this up now. There's a lot of interesting information. Perhaps maybe, Matthew, because you've lived in London, you might want to write a case about it. We could cover it as a road trip, for sure. Could be fascinating. Or I could write it. Because you don't seem very enthused.
Matthew just sitting here quietly.
Yeah, he just sits there quietly.
Maybe.
No, Mike, you do the work.
Maybe eventually, but...
Okay, we'll put Gareth Williams on the list. But thanks again, Steve, for your donut money. We really appreciate it. It means a lot, especially that you've done a couple of, well, more than a couple of few.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And maybe Steve's hobby is being a spy. I don't know. He could be spying for the UK.
I think Steve works for CSIS.
For CSIS?
Yeah.
Well, even though he's in the UK, he works for CSIS. Well, I guess CSIS would have. They call them spooks.
Absolutely. He's there spying on the UK government for Canada.
Well, there you go. Well, fantastic, because I'm sure we're very curious about what's going on in the UK.
Sorry to out you there, Steve.
Yeah. Now Steve's going to be found in a zipped red bag, which we don't want. Anyway. Thanks to all our patrons and Donut Money donors, past and present, for your generosity. It helps to keep the show going. You can become a patron of Dark Poutine at patreon.com/darkpoutine. For a one-time donation, you can send us donut money via PayPal or interact using our email address, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. If you don't already subscribe to the show, it would mean a lot if you did. You can easily find Dark Poutine on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you haven't gotten yours yet, my 2 books are available to order via links on the Dark Poutine website or anywhere fine books are sold. And speaking of darkpoutine.com, check it out for show notes and other cool stuff. We'd appreciate it if you gave Dark Poutine a like or a follow on Facebook and Instagram. Most importantly, thank you for listening. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. And that's it for this episode of Dark Poutine. So until next time, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.